is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at the Adidas Adizero Prime X Strung after the Boston Marathon. Now this is a shoe I purchased with my own money, so no one sent this to me and no one will have a chance to view this before I put it online. In fact, this is a shoe I didn't even bring with me on my trip to Boston. 3 weeks prior to the Boston Marathon, I started getting shin splints and patellar tendonitis in my knee. So I really hadn't been able to run, and it was just kind of really painful going into the marathon. So it was just a lot of resting, but for Boston, I brought a pair of Nike Vaporfly 3s thinking that that would just kind of be soft enough to take me over the distance. But really 2 days before the marathon, or 3 days before the marathon, I put the shoes on and tried to run, and it just felt terrible. So I didn't know what to do, and we went to the expo and they had a pair of Prime X Strung on the wall, and I was just like, well, that's an above max cushion shoe, so I might as well just try it on and give it a shot. And when I put it on, it felt just genuinely soft, and my leg didn't hurt nearly as much in them. So it was kind of an immediate purchase, which, I mean, they say never try anything new before race day, but in this kind of situation, I was just like, I mean, whatever. I trained too hard not to run at all, so thought I would give it a shot. Plus, I did the majority of my training in the Adidas Pro 3, so I felt pretty comfortable with like the geometry of Adidas shoes already. So just going over some quick specs and starting at the bottom and working our way up. We got a healthy slab of Continental rubber, which has proven time and time again to be absolutely durable and super grippy even in the wettest conditions. And then we have a healthy stack of Lightstrike Pro foam, meaning there's 49.5 millimeters in the heel and 41 in the forefoot, meaning that there is a 8.5 millimeter drop. And in between that, we have Adidas's Energy rods, which is their version of the carbon fiber plate. But there's also a plate under the forefoot as well, because they have 3 different layers of Lightstrike Pro foam in this, and they're all kind of sandwiched in there. And then we got Adidas's new Strung upper, which, to be honest with you, I'm not even really sure what it is, but it's incredibly breathable and it just fits like a glove. I mean, I bought this shoe and my second run in it, my first run over like 2 miles was a full marathon, that being the Boston Marathon, and it just fit perfectly. It needed 0 break-in period, and I mean, I don't recommend doing that, but it was just an incredible out-of-box experience. And then the tongue, it's not gusseted on either side, and it basically has Adidas thin kind of race-style tongue. And then the laces, they're not much to write home about. The shoe also features the unique pull tab that Adidas has on most of its racing shoes. So how did it feel to run in the Prime X Strung? Well, first of all, this shoe is super soft, super bouncy, and it is a lot of fun to run in. I would say it's almost like the Alpha Fly, but like a little bit more almost pop off the forefoot. It's just been incredibly responsive, and it protected my legs better than any shoe I've basically ever ran in. Now, it is quite a heavy shoe, but I didn't really feel like it was ever bogging me down or weighing me down over the marathon distance. I did run the Boston Marathon in a time of 2 hours and 55 minutes and 51 seconds. So given my injuries and given everything involved, especially the weather in Boston, which was beautiful until it started pouring, I'm very, very happy with that. And, you know, it's not all about the shoe, but I really feel as though if I didn't have this purchase and I would have chosen the other pair that I was going to run in, not only would I not have ran in that specific time, but I might not have finished that race. Now, Boston this year was wet. It was raining. It's a hilly course. It's a fast course. And it really has all the elements that you look for. And, you know, when it was really wet, I didn't feel as though I was slipping at all, especially at the higher speeds. I mean, I think I was averaging, before Heartbreak Hill, I was around the 6:30 per mile mark. And it just felt secure. I felt confident in every step I took, and it was great. The one thing I would say though, and especially in these busier big city marathons, is that when you're shoulder to shoulder with people, and you know there's people that are slower that you're coming up on and you're trying to weave in and out, this shoe was too much stack height. I can't even tell you the amount of times I've tried to turn a little bit and my ankle just kind of went like this, and I was pretty much nearing a rolled ankle a couple times. So not the most agile shoe in the world, I would say for sure, but I mean, that's a given. It's just such a tall shoe and the stack height is so high, you know, you're just best to run in a straight line in these things. And even with the roads being like worn down a little bit and having cracks and crevices throughout the whole thing, I mean, one little small step into a hole is actually kind of a big difference in the shoe. In the Adidas Pro 3, which is, I guess, the little brother to this thing, or the legal version of this, you know, I never had that. In fact, I felt very stable in that shoe and very secure. But with this one, you start to notice the cracks and the crevices when you step in them in your ankle. It can really fatigue your ankle, and it probably puts you at a much higher risk for injury. And as most of you know who are watching this video, Boston in itself is known for Heartbreak Hill. It's known for those 3 or 4 hills where you're going up and then down, starting at like mile 21. And, you know, it can be tiring because your legs are super heavy, right? You need to get that turnover going to get up the hills and maintain at least some sort of pace and then glide down. And in terms of a shoe that is this big and this heavy, I honestly didn't feel as though it was weighing me down as much as, you know, you might expect, especially with all the water. This shoe was able to like filter out water like it was nothing. I didn't feel as though it gained much weight at all during the race. It probably did, but I mean, like in terms of a noticeable substantial gain, I didn't feel that at all. So going up the hills, you know, it felt very easy and fluid. Did my paces drop? Absolutely, but they probably would in every single shoe I could ever run in. So, you know, that's not a shoe of the fault of the shoe. That's just kind of myself as a runner and like, you know, the kind of shape I was in at that time and kind of how my legs were feeling. And going up and down those hills, I mean, it can be very hard on your legs. And so having something where you can, you know, get up on your toes and climb the hills, and then, you know, when on the way down, just kind of go back a little bit and change your form, and just having something versatile like that where you still feel comfortable and you still feel like you can get that moving and turnover and you can just keep it rolling. I felt like that's where this shoe truly excelled in terms of just keeping my pace and keeping a good rhythm. Now after Heartbreak Hill, that's when my knee started kind of flaring up and my shin started really going again. And you know, that's no fault of this shoe at all. In fact, I credit it for getting me that far in a lot of ways. But when I was injured and I was feeling like I was tightening up, my stride shortening a little bit, you know, dehydration sets in a little bit, which actually it wasn't bad for this race because it was, the moisture was there. It wasn't too hot. It was kind of just perfect running conditions. That's when the shoe felt like a little bit much. I just wish I had a little bit less on my feet. So, I mean, I guess like if you're really putting this into a narrow category, is this the select choice of shoe you want between mile 23 and mile 26.2? No, but I mean, like, you got there and you got there pretty comfortably, and it was, you know, an incredible experience along the way. So I would say no shoe's really that comfortable when you're that far into a marathon anyway. Now after Heartbreak Hill, that's when my kind of injuries, my shin splints and my patella tendonitis really started flaring up again, and I just kind of lost a little pop in my step. Now it had nothing to do with the shoes, obviously. In fact, I credit them for getting me to that point. But like when you are feeling that way and you don't have a perfect running cadence, and you know your muscles are getting a little bit tight because you've been on them for over 2 hours at that point, 2.5, whatever you might be at whatever pace, this shoe does start to feel a little bit heavy and a little bit like you'd rather have something else on your foot. But I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the beast, right? You're getting into this thing, you're feeling really good when you're fresh, it just keeps you going. But then at some point when you are getting more tired, you know, weight does play into a little bit of a factor. But overall, I would say like for 95% of this race, like this was just an absolute pleasure to have on my foot. In terms of pricing, now in Canadian dollars, the Prime X Strung comes in around $400, which is absolutely way too much for a shoe. And I don't think I would ever spend that much again. In terms of my situation and the race that I've been trying really hard to qualify for, and you know, finally get there, you pay all that money, and the start line is just like a couple days away. I would pay more and I would do it every single time. But that's very just situational. You know, this is an incredible shoe and it really, really worked well for me. The benefits of it over the Adios Pro 3, I really love the Adios Pro 3. I mean, I don't feel as though it's that much of a difference between running in this and that shoe, and it's coming in Canada like at full price, $100 less, and it's constantly on sale. So I would strongly recommend going with the Adios Pro 3 over the Prime X Strung. Plus the Adios Pro 3 is also a race legal shoe. So if you are someone that is, you know, at the top of races and trying to get money, or you're a professional athlete, whatever that might be with the world athletic standards, you can't run in this one. But the Adios Pro 3 is something that, you know, I spent a lot of time in over my training blocks, and, you know, I wish I kind of would have brought it to Boston, but I'm so happy to have gotten this shoe and to drive this shoe there. One other metric I've been kind of monitoring through my marathon racing is my recoveries after. So typically with like the Alpha Fly, you know, my legs are pretty banged up for maybe 3 days, not much more than that. The Vaporfly, I've been kind of sitting around like the 5-day marker where I'm still really, really feeling it. In terms of this shoe, I was pretty good to go about 2 days after. I still had some tightness. I still felt a little bit fatigued, but in terms of like actually feeling like I just ran a marathon, it was probably 2 days. And that was probably even exacerbated by the fact that I had a pretty good injury going on and still do to, well, this moment. So I would say that the recovery time on this shoe is quite incredible. And you know, I can't see myself running another marathon in this shoe unless I'm like injured the way I am and the whole situation arises again. But what I can see this shoe being is an incredible, like hard long run shoe. You know, you could even use it for daily training. It's that awesome. But I mean, like in terms of like what it's intended for, I think my injury comes from running in carbon fiber plates probably way too often. So I'm going to save this for my longer runs. I'm going to save this for my like threshold or tempo or interval sessions that are on the longer spectrum of things. And I think just from that point on, like this is going to be an incredible shoe for that. The only weary thing I have about running in shoes with this much foam in them, and this could just be a me thing, I don't know, but super shoes are meant to feel like on race day you just have that pop under your foot. You know, it's something that you're not technically like used to, or you don't expect to happen like under your foot all the time, right? You got to feel ready to go mentally. It just prepares you a lot. And I feel like when you run in shoes like this, which might be above and beyond your super shoe, maybe you're kind of limiting the mental, like kind of like, I don't know, race day or a race day kind of like I'm ready to go give my best, you know, kind of vibes that you get from training in like daily trainers or more traditional shoes. Because when you're building your strength and you're building that bone density from running and, you know, your tendons, everything like that. I mean, when you're running in an over maximalist shoe, you might be reducing the actual overall physiological benefits you're getting through your day in, day out training. And so I don't know if that's like actually true or not, but that's just something that really makes sense to me. So that's kind of why I'm just gonna be limiting to this to like my more longer tempo threshold sessions, as opposed to utilizing it on a very, very frequent basis. So if you have the resources for the Prime X Strung, and if you're a big fan of the Adios range like I am, I wish all the Adios Pro 3s had this upper. This is probably the best upper I've ever ran in, hands down. That includes the Flyknit from Nike, that includes the new Metaspeed Sky Plus range, like everything, you name it. And even the New Balance RC Elite V3 with that knit upper, I honestly feel like this has a better form-fitting feel too, which, I mean, that's kind of knit upper's specialties. So incredible upper. The midsole, again, super protective, super bouncy, super fun. I mean, this is the most fun I've had running in a shoe ever. And, you know, if you have the resources again, and you have, you know, you're a running shoe nerd. You know, this is a runner's runner. You know, this is an absolutely unnecessary item that no one needs, but it's fun to have. So thank you for watching another video. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's been a minute since my last video, but you know, I was dealing with my injuries and I got sick a couple times, and when you're doing that, it's just kind of hard to A, put miles in shoes for reviews, or B, get your own training in. And you know, Boston was such a priority for me. I needed my head to be where it needed to be just to get that finish. And with 2:55.51, that's a new PR. I know I'm in much better shape than that, but I'm just so grateful to finish the race. So again, please like and subscribe, and until next time, take care.